Did you know that our graduates have found personal and career success through the military, through the university, straight to the workforce through credentials earned in high school, or just pure grit and opportunity? I'm Tom Livezey, host of the What's Your Future podcast and superintendent here at Oakridge. Our guests have a unique story to tell about their pathway to a successful career, and they will demonstrate how our schools and community partner together to prepare students for their future. Before we get to our guest, help us tell these stories far and wide by clicking subscribe or liking our videos. And if you're interested in being a guest on the What's Your Future podcast, my email address is whatsyourfuture@oakridgeschools.org. Let's get started. Good morning, everyone. Tom Livezey here, superintendent of Oakridge and the host of the What's Your Future podcast, here with Kassi Hanchera, content creator from the city of Muskegon. Cassie, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me this morning.
Awesome. We are so excited to have you here today and get to know a little bit more about another Oakridge graduate. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do to kick this thing off today.
Yeah, I graduated from Oakridge High School in 2009. I ended up going to Michigan State University for Communication Arts and Sciences, and I'm currently the content creator for the city of Muskegon.
You said 2009, so you got almost to the middle of your career here, possibly. Tell us a little bit about the pathway it took you to become a content creator at the city of Muskegon.
Yeah, I can definitely talk about that. So I wasn't going to go for communication arts and sciences. That was never my plan. I ended up going to MSU. I was going to be a pre-vet and go into their veterinary grad school. And I had full intentions of that, took AP biology and all these other science and math courses so that I'd be prepared. And then I got to college and took some courses, and I was just kind of like in over my head. I was suddenly in a classroom of 400 students just for a single class for a lecture. And I struggled with that. I ended up not doing as well in my studies. I was skipping class and staying in. But when I was doing that, I kind of went back to something I had always done, which was drawing. And I was drawing a lot. I ended up letting more and more slip, and I got an academic probation from Michigan State University. And so I went and saw my academic advisor, and I was just dreading it. And I get in there and I'm like, oh, I feel like such a failure. I've let my family down. I let myself down. And I've just been drawing in my room, and I've been selling my drawings online. She said, wait. You've been selling your drawings online? She was like, we can do something with that. Have you ever considered like graphic design or something like that? And I was like, no, absolutely not. You can't make money with art. And it was just kind of like a funny scenario, because then she kind of went into like, no. Graphic design is in everything that you see. Everything from like road signs to brochures to your favorite brand. That somebody made their logo, somebody made their branding, somebody made their website. A designer is all behind that. Anything that is visually meant to communicate to others is created somewhere along the line behind a designer. And there's an entire science that goes behind that, and a psychology. And so I ended up getting thrown into a bunch of fine arts classes at Michigan State University, and then eventually getting thrown into the communication arts and joined the American Advertising Federation. And this is an extracurricular course offered by Michigan State University, or not really a course, more of a team, like a sports team, but for advertising. And they would put a designer, a strategist, a communications, a PR student, and they would put us into this sort of mock agency, and then we would compete on the state level for a different campaign. This year that I did it was for Mary Kay, and they came forward and they were like, hey, we want a younger brand. We ended up placing 4th that year in the state, but that was like a really good jumping off point and got me an internship in Lansing after college. So I was working for Edge Partnerships in downtown Lansing, and we got to work on things for like Pure Michigan, Taste of Lansing. They were like a really big agency, and it was a really, really great experience. And after my experience there, they had offered me a position, but I really missed Muskegon. So I ended up coming back here and just taking whatever job I could find. There aren't a lot of graphic design positions in Muskegon because of how much smaller it is, but I tried to keep within my career path. I actually took a job at Staples and worked there for 3 months before I got another job at a print house as their in-house graphic designer. And there I got a ton of experience about print and different aspects of design, from screen to actual paper and application. And I really kind of set me apart from other counterparts in my career path. And then from there, I was able to get a position as a senior designer at a local marketing agency, sourced locally, but they do stuff nationwide and worldwide. There, I got to work on some really big brand names. Jim Belushi is one of the brands I've worked on before.
Wow.
And then from there, I had always had a love for Muskegon and local. And when I got into the local agency, I was kind of like disappointed that we didn't do anything locally. So as time went on, I just happened to have another position come forward and kind of fall in my lap. And I was like, I'm going to apply for it because it was more city centric. So that got me into the city. And they didn't really have a position at that time. They had created a content creator because they needed somebody to do kind of it all. And where my job had been more graphic design focused previously, now it's more web, email work. Basically, you could name it. I'm doing it: videography, photography, etc.
That's great. So there's so many nuggets of success and life lessons there. I love the perseverance of getting to college, realizing that it's probably not the pathway that you want to go. Kudos to Michigan State University for guiding you along the way and being a resource to you to find out where your true love and passion is that you could possibly have a career. And then navigating that pathway to a successful career to where sounds like you're really enjoying what you do at the city of Muskegon. And thanks to you for coming back to Muskegon and contributing back to your home community.
It's absolutely my pleasure. I'm so happy to be back by the lake.
Yeah, that's great. Well, this all started in Oakridge High School. So I want you to go back to right before graduation and share maybe some influential people or programs that contributed to your success in getting to Michigan State University.
Yeah, I think was a lot of influence at Oakridge. Growing up in Oakridge is like living in a storybook. You're going to school with teachers that also went to school there and that went to school with your parents and possibly with your grandparents. It's like a little time capsule. And I just want to call out a couple of teachers like Mrs. Bejarano, Mr. Wood, Mr. Danicek. These are teachers that I like particularly like come to the surface with me. Mrs. Bejarano for her like really strong female presence and just sort of like I think she taught me that like a woman can really have an opinion. Like in the best way. Mr. Wood, love him or don't see eye to eye with him. He was so good at getting my eyes open to the rest of the world. I think because we live in such a little serene storybook community that it's really easy to just think about prom and football, but him kind of like shaking us kids and being like, hey, open up your eyes. That was a really big help for me at MSU. I don't know if I would have survived being placed out of this community all the way straight from graduation day, and then I moved in September of the next year. That was a huge transition, and a lot of his words rang in my head as I was walking the campus and hearing different people's voices and just trying to integrate. And then Mr. Danicek had so much patience with me. Math has never been my strong suit. I should have kind of known back then that I was going to struggle with like chemistry or other math related sciences, but I just remember him like stopping, taking the time, because I'm such a question asker. And that was a big difference for me in college too, is that I couldn't just stop the teacher and be like, hey, this doesn't really make sense to me. If I say this and that, does that apply to this? And he'd be like, oh, no, blah, 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 blah. And then on top of it, Mr. Danicek would always kind of like playfully tease that like I'd hand in my homework and it would just be full of drawings on the side. And he never reprimanded me for that, but he would like, oh, another Hello Kitty. I just like think back now and I so appreciate because other teachers would reprimand me for like doodling. I'd have all my work done and my homework done, but get after me about it. But he was always kind of cool with like, you get your work done, you always turn it in on time, go ahead and doodle. And I think back to that, like, that doodling ended up coming forward and being my full career. So I do appreciate his patience through all of that.
Maybe Mr. Danicek just had the wisdom that this was career preparation that you were doodling on your math papers, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure Mr. Wood, Miss Bejarano, and Mr. Danicek would really appreciate the shout outs because that's what we're here for in trying to support students because we never know the pathway that they're going to go, making sure to find those successes that kids have. And so it sounds like that's a similar story for you. So you talked a little bit about some of the challenges after you graduated, got into the university. There's people that we're trying to inspire here to find that successful career like you have, what can you lend to that as far as some life lessons or challenges that you faced during your career that has developed at the city of Muskegon or even before? Any life lessons that you would like to share to help engage some of our listeners that can relate to some of those challenges? Any challenges or life lessons that you overcame to get to where you're at?
Yeah, I think just finding a job is always so scary. You go all the way through high school, your job seems so far off. You just have a summer job. This isn't going to be a forever thing. So it's not that big of a deal. And then you graduate, they hand you a paper, and you're out on your own. Uh, it's more about the connections you make, I've found, than it is anything else. You can be an honor student, you can be this and that, but if you don't have the right connections, you're going to really struggle. And coming back to Muskegon, I had to rebuild. I'd been gone for 6 years. I had to completely rebuild my network. I didn't know anybody coming back. It was like, what jobs are there? I have no clue. I ended up joining the JCs when I came back.
Okay.
It's a young professionals group, and they do different things for the community. If you're familiar with the Rotary Club, it's like a younger version of that. And that was a great way to network. And I ended up getting my first job because of that. And that kind of just like snowballed from there. So my big thing would be make sure that you're making connections, not just going to class and going back to your dorm, or really make those college connections, because some of those college connections, or like even after, have landed me jobs here, there. And honestly, I joined the JCs back in 2014. And I was done after a couple years. And I work at the city with probably like 10 other people that were in JCs at the same time as me. So I think that does benefit you. And I work easier across departments because of that.
Yeah. So I'm going to categorize that as getting out of your comfort zone and networking. Sound like that was very effective for you.
Yes, yeah, it was.
So full disclosure, this podcast is supported by a FAFSA grant, and the financial pathway to getting a college education is sometimes challenging for people. I'm wondering if you completed the FAFSA or received any financial aid, and what was that experience like going through that process as you were preparing between high school and college?
Yeah. So I didn't come from a very well-off family, so I definitely utilized FAFSA's resources.
Yep.
And for me, the process was painless. MSU had a really, really great office that you could even go to, and they'd walk you through it if need be. Otherwise, I believe I got like an email with like step-by-step guides on like, here's what to do, send in this paperwork. And then you do need to coordinate with your folks, have your mother or father involved in that. So I know those at times can be difficult. Fortunately, I didn't have any of those struggles. But I will say a little tidbit is that on my first year and my second year of doing FAFSA, I was awarded more than my room and board and tuition. And it's meant to be a sort of like to get you through for like other necessities like groceries or bathroom needs or whatnot. I would recommend maybe getting a part-time job or a full-time job on campus. Colleges are so good about offering student employment. Supplement your extras with that. I would recommend just taking out what you need with FAFSA.
So it sounds like those kids that are thinking they can't afford college, just give it a shot. Fill out that FAFSA, see what university resources are there, and tread on. Follow your dreams.
Absolutely. FAFSA is a great resource.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate you sharing that story. Sometimes students get so intimidated about the whole experience, and they can think that they come from families that can't afford post-secondary education. But sounds like you went through the challenges and was able to succeed through that and get those opportunities for you. I love telling you, sharing that story. Any advice that you would like to give to our current students interested in a similar career path that you have chosen? I know you've shared a few life lessons already, but anything specific to the graphic design, as you were definitely questioning whether you could make money at that career.
I was. And let me tell you, you can make money. You can make good money. I absolutely love what I do. Not only do I enjoy the actual work, but I enjoy the people I get to interact with because of it. It brings me around. My job is different every day. Some days I'm doing video work, sometimes photography. If I had known I wanted to do graphic design or communication arts and sciences, which falls under all of those, whether you want to do marketing or actual graphic design or web work, I would have absolutely done some of the tech courses that are offered at Oakridge outside. So wish I'd have done that, or like a videography. But I'll say, even if you're not that committed, you're not really sure, and you're like, well, I love art, but I don't, and you were like me, because I think at 18, you couldn't have told me otherwise. If you're still like that, I would recommend joining like the yearbook committee. I was on that, and that was like honestly my first interactions with designing and placing things on a digital board. It was a really good experience, and believe it or not, like some of that publisher knowledge like transferred over into college when I had a few projects when I first started getting into communication arts. You never know what kind of like weird side project you do is going to end up coming up later, and you use the skill from it.
I love how you tell the story that the wish you would haves, because those are the things that our students would love to hear as they're exploring some of those things in high school. 'Cause high school, it's free. You get to figure out what you want to do, and even better, you get to figure out what you don't want to do. And all these programs that we have, both at the Career Tech Center as well as in our own high school, those are great opportunities to explore those career opportunities. So as we go on here, a couple more questions is just high school in general. What is your perspective on the value of a high school education and how it has contributed to your success? I know you told a little bit about your shout outs for our teachers, but high school education in general, any general perspective on the value that was to you?
Yeah, I think high school has a lot placed on it. It feels like your entire world when you're in it, but it's just the building blocks. It's a good way to start dipping your feet and checking what you want, because you can change your mind at any point afterwards. I did. And so I would highly recommend trying absolutely everything you can while you're in high school. There's value in that it's a safe space that you can explore all different types of things. I in college they're going to force you to take a bunch of different pillar classes to try to do the same thing. In high school, you don't have to pay for that. So I highly recommend, if you're going to explore, don't be committed to anything specific. I mean, follow a certain path like science or technology or arts and communications or something like that. Those are two different avenues. But for the most part, don't be so scared and thinking that you need to take all AP biology or something like that. There's so much room, and it's a great, great time to explore your options.
Awesome. I know high school was a great time for me. Not for everybody, but I hear so many stories, particularly coming out of Oakridge High School. That has just been a great experience. I love your stories about finding out what you wish you would have, as well as some experiences that really prepared you to get to the successful career that you're in right now. So this last segment of the podcast is called Diary of a Successful Career, where a former podcast guest gets to ask the current podcast guest a question. And this one comes from Dr. Carla Kevern, who happens to be an employee here at Oakridge, a 2015 grad, if I remember correctly. And she asked this question for you. That question is, with the benefit of hindsight, what would you change along your pathway to a successful career?
That's a good question. Kind of going back to it, I would have, if I'd have known, I would have done more in high school for the career I ended up being in with communication arts and sciences. I think back, and if I would have started web or if I would have started videography work back then, how I look at my work when I started and I'm just like, oh, that's so awful. But just think of how good my work would be now if I started even sooner. I don't think it's inhibited me. However, I can't imagine how much more advanced or further in my career I could be.
Absolutely. Hindsight's 2020. So it's like if you would have known now what you know then, that you might make some different decisions. But you are a successful content creator at the city of Muskegon, and sounds like you're loving what you do.
I do, truly.
All right. Well, we're going to end on a fun note here. So this segment is called Favorite Things, where we're going to rapid fire, and just so people get to know you on a personal level, some of your favorite things. And all of these comes from just some simple, engaging topics that we'll see how quickly you can get through these things. So first question, what's your favorite way to unwind or relax after a long day?
Yes. After a long day, I love to come home and put on my hiking boots and run out to the local state park or trails. There's so much to offer in West Michigan. It's something else I really missed when I was away. I love hiking up the dunes and down the dunes and just sitting by the water and taking in the nature.
You can't beat a lakefront hike. That's absolutely true. I love that. So how about favorite travel destination? What makes it special?
Ooh, good question. I've traveled all over the place. However, oddly enough, I love Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. Have you ever been up there?
I have. I had a friend in high school that lived up there.
My family is from there actually. So we would go visit my aunts and grandparents and cousins and just it's the most beautiful place in the world. Again, going back to the time capsule communities, like it truly feels like you're walking into a storybook up there and just I mean, who also doesn't love fudge and saltwater taffy?
Yeah, the northern, yep, the fudge. Murdoch's. That's the famous
Yes,
fudge
yes.
up there, if I remember right. Yeah. I love it. Sault Ste. Marie. Everybody says up north, that's the place to be. So of course I
It's
grew
cute,
up in Kalamazoo area, so up north is Muskegon.
right?
All right. How about a favorite childhood memory? Something great your parents did for you, grandparents. It usually comes down to family with these childhood.
Yeah, I think my favorite childhood memory was honestly growing up in Oakridge. My grandmother lived down by the lower elementary, so we would get dropped off there in the mornings and then walk to school. And then I could walk to school at the upper elementary and the middle school and the high school. And everybody else's grandparents and parents lived in the area too. So it was like picturesque running around, going down to Wolf Lake, jumping into the lake, coming back up, checking in with mom, eating a sandwich, going back out, running out, playing in the woods, building a fort. My childhood was wonderful. I absolutely adored growing up in Oakridge area.
I hear that so much about the Oakridge family is the term that comes around a lot. Just it's a very tight knit community. I'm privileged to be the superintendent here, and being able to meet people like you who have had a successful career after graduating from Oakridge High School. It's been an incredible experience for me, and I hope you've enjoyed your time here today.
I did. Thank you so much for having me on.
All right. Well, this is Kassi Hanchera, content creator from the city of Muskegon, Oakridge graduate from 2009. Love seeing our successful Oakridge graduates. This is the What's Your Future podcast. Thank you for joining us, everybody, today. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you on the next show.